Welcome to attend this course related to the qualitative data analysis for the Business Data Management Capstone project in IIT Madras. My name is Chavi Chen. My Chavi Fletcher Chen is after getting married as a double barrel name. So for this course, we will bring some introduction of research and also relate to the data and method, etc. of the research process. And we will, in the course discussion, in the course introduction part, we will gradually move to the qualitative data analysis. So first of all, we would like to talk something about research. What is research? Introduction to research. So we need to have a clear definition. What is research? Understand what does it mean? And what's a research for the managers. So we are all in the business world and we're going to be manager in the future. So why do we care about research? What should we do about research? Do we need to know research? What's the knowledge of research? And then we will bridge further about what is the overview of research related to the process, related to more details. So this is the introduction we are going to do, and we were going to talk about our learning objective in our course. Definition is crucial. We also want to distinguish the difference between the applied and basic research, and also explain why managers should know about research, because we got to work in the business. We also work in different industry, different area, and also at the same time, if we know nothing about research, how can we make a good judgment? And if we don't perform research, it would be unlikely for organization to operate or to make a decision properly. So research can be not just simply scientific research. Research can be a different format. And also we were going to be a manager in the future, or we will gradually nurture ourselves to be promoted in the job field. We also need to know how can we learn from research, or how can we apply to perform research into our workplace or into the business world we are going to operate, and how can we associate ourselves to the business world, and how can we make an objective suggestion for the business or for the organization to operate. At the same time, the role of ethics in business research. Sometimes we want to perform the research and we want to gain the results we like to. However, if we don't have appropriate ethic in conducting research, we probably get the wrong information, wrong data, wrong finding, wrong outcome, and therefore we would at the end to make a poor strategy or poor decision making to jeopardize what we're going to operate. So first of all, what is research? And I would like you to close your eyes for a minute and alter the word research to yourself and think about what image does this word appear to you. So close your eye and think about research. What does it appear like? What kind of image have you seen in your brain? Okay, so some people may appear research full with kind of charts and also have some idea. Some people have a research is to do with neuropsychology or neuro study to understand how it operates in our brain. And sometimes people have research related to big data, how it interconnected, how it affects the way of operating, or how it functions in AI through the big data. And some people research is very scientific. It could be mechanic, it could be chemistry, and some people's research may be full of book to go to dig into a lot of literature and to perform. And at the same time, some people's research in thinking about it could be in a hospital study, or patients and doctors, or psychology with a patient, and in performing operating monitor behavior. Some people's research could be full of mathematical calculation to know what could be creating the formula, the outcome of predicting some kind of finance, etc. So that could be all kind of research people may think of, and some people may have a different image that's maybe not included. But this is a common thing people think about research, and that is something make people start to wonder: is research so complicated? Is research so intimidating? So research is not an intimidating word, and is also something that we can try to capture idea.
Okay, I found this on the web for So Complicated. It's research. It's so
Sorry, my Siri is working. So research is not intimidating terms. Research is something that we can actually perform, that once we know what's the philosophy, once we know the background, once we know how we operate, everyone can perform research. So research is simply the process of finding solution to a problem after a targeted and systematic study, and you need analysis of material and sources, which means you need the data to do research. So what could be the research activity? People constantly engage themselves in exploring, examining issues, so they can involve in some kind of research activity. For example, for some kind of marketing study, some organization manager, they want to understand how the consumer work, because they probably used to be a consumer, because we all consumer. So we probably think about, we are going to spend money on something, but would that be a good investment? It could be a good value for us. So for example, some people say, okay, an app could be just about €1, but will you spend €1 for a mobile app, or you prefer to spend €1 for probably ice cream and some kind of a bread or something? And people will start to think about why, if a business developer in mobile apps or certain apps, they probably think about, yeah, €1 is not expensive, but why people doesn't spend the money on it? And that is to do with us from the consumer's perspective, and also from the consumer's perspective for the business developer, for the organizational manager. They start to think about, how can I intrigue people willing to pay for something? And that could be to do with the research activity, because as a manager, function as a serve as a consumer, they want to understand how it works. So sometimes for people, they think about, well, if I'm going to do spending some money, if I'm going to do some as an investor, so probably like I'm going to change mobile provider, or I'm going to buy a car, I'm going to invest a business startup, or I'm going to increase advertising expenditure as a company, or I'm going to, as a manager or as a sales, you want to acquire or retain a business customer. So all these things trigger people to know how and what and why. And that is something to do with engage themselves to explore some certain things that we are intrigued and want to know the next about what can we do the best. So sometimes, what's the point to have research? Research to help us to make a good decision. So research also make a manager in organization to make decision. So in a workplace, how can we make a decision for our team? How can we make the right decision to know that's our customers require? And sometimes to help the understand, if we are going to make an organizational policy, how can we make sure when we are going to perform it, is maybe operational wise is achievable, but for the staff people, for the people, they have to follow this policy. They can feel satisfied, or they feel not to burn out in the carrying out the process, and how they can actually perform. And also as a manager, if they can using research for decision making. They may also perform a form of leadership to know they are competent, they are making a good decision for the organization, they are making a decision for their team. So research actually enable manager to go through their decision making process more logically, more than intuitively. The purpose of having research, as just simply saying, is make people have a more logical decision making. But how to make a more logical or rational decision making is very crucial, because you have to understand the process. And some people think about research, it could be like a very intuitive, or could be like I observe he or observe her, some people doing something, therefore it is. But this kind of observation through like one or couple people to make a phenomena, it could be very judgmental. It could be quite biased, and it could be just a self-serving purpose. Maybe that's not a good decision making. That could be a simply called an observation from something or from someone only. So there are many examples about research. So, and also a research outcome for people, for the manager, can be making a good decision or bad decision. A good decision could be easy to get a yes answer. So for example, how do we know we make a good decision? How do we know we really understand what we are going to explore, or what do we actually explore in the research? There are several questions that for a manager or for any researcher they need to understand. First of all, do we identify where the problem is? So sometimes doing the research is like they don't buy the mobile app for €1 because they don't have money. But is that really the problem? So sometimes identify the problem is maybe to do is actually the problem is not about not having money, or that could be target the right audience, or that could be to do with what exactly the value will trigger people to purchase. So do we actually recognize the relevant factor in the situation that need investigation in research? So are we able to recognize multiple factors, or are we simply just say, yeah, it's too expensive, we should make it cheaper? It's not, so we're simply using the price strategy, say make it cheap and we can sell more. But the price competition doesn't suggest that would be a good competition, because for the business developer, for a mobile app development, there could be thousands of developers doing that. If the price is going to make it cheap, where's the investment? Where's the margin we gain? Where's the time investment? So sometimes we need to understand is, do we have enough information to help to us understand the situation, the factor? So do we know what type of information are going to be gathered, and how we're going to get those information? Do we really know how to make a use of information so we can be able to know that we can make a good decision or making a good conclusion? So we know how to use the conclusion to lead to a decision making. So how do we implement the results so we will know what's the process we can go through? So understand what's the implement result from the findings is something help us to go through how can we understand better. Do we perform the process research? Do we have a right process? Do we really gather information we want as a finding? Do we collect the right type of data to perform? So there are three themes associated with research. One is about it's a process of inquiry and investigation. It's also a systematic and methodical, and also it's increased knowledge. So therefore, we can further to define business research from research, because research could be logical, could be systematic, and in terms of in the business research, is to do with do we actually go step-by-step process that involve collecting, recording, analyzing, interpreting data, so we will be able to create support in solving managerial problems. So for business research, we like to think about it's not just about exploring information. It's not simply saying we are going to have some finding, and then so what? So business research is emphasizing we need to go beyond so what. We have the findings. So how can we implement it? And how can we apply to the managerial world that is useful for us to use in the workplace, to use in the industry, to use it in certain kind of stances. So there are so many type of business related research topic. It could be increasing number of women in CEO position, that could be with the HR domain, or disability aware training. Does it change the attitude in the workplace? So sometimes some people will think about training or have some kind of a meditation for the mental health, because during the COVID period, lots of people suffer from stress, and the corporate world start to think about the importance to implement their well-being. So does it work? Some people say yes, well-being is important, but how it works? And there's some study talking about meditation works or something, etc. But when people apply that, does it really benefit? So all this type can be to do with marketing, to do with HRM, to do with sales. There could be so many things, or sometimes to do with operational management, relate to the product cycle, or how can we measure improving the operation line to be more efficient and effective, and also to do with organizational operation level. So how can we make sure the employee can be performing effectively to reach to the company goals, or what kind of a marketing strategy can we perform? So there are so many type of a research area help us to know business related research. And also it's important for everyone here to think about when we are performing business research, we also need to think about, do we have a topic there? There are so many topics, but the business research, be aware, is not try to solve the world problem. Business research try to tackle, there's a problem, and we focus on problem to tackle it. But that problem can maybe intertwine with multiple things, but it could be one by one to solve the problem, instead of thinking about, okay, that's a world problem. So how can we solve the world problem? That could be thousands of research conducted in the process. But therefore, we are going to think about how can we conduct a business research. So conducting the business research, it requires systematic, organized effort to invest a specific decision problems encountered in a work setting, such as need a solution. Therefore, they require process. So again, it's not try to solve the problem of the world. Is solve a specific decision problem that we encounter in the work. And this work could be to do with audit, to do with employment mental health. It could be to do with sales output. It could be to do with a product innovation. It could to do with financial decision making, etc. So what are the process? Those process is in common across all business area. For example, what is important to know where the problem area exists? It could be within a firm, it could be inter-firm, it could be to do with a product, or to do with a service, or it could be to do with a process. So it would be very important to identify, if we are saying, okay, the problem is within the firm, so we need to focus on the within the firm factors, and then we need to know where the problem lies within the firm. If we are going to conduct the research and try to understand, okay, we probably think the problem is happening a lot at the inter-firm issues. Then we look into inter-firm issue, for example, buyer-seller relationship. Or, for example, in the supply chain, that could be B2B to B2B. And that kind of interfere, it could become a network ecosystem problems. And sometimes it could be to do with marketing product. Do we sell the right product to the customer need? Do we actually perform the marketing research to know what exactly the product is updated? Do we need to innovate new product? Or to do with, is a product and service combination? Or it's actually, there's nothing wrong with the product. It's the way we perform our sales, the process doesn't go into the right approach. Maybe people need the internet using a kind of online selling, and some people prefer use a traditional to go to the local conference meeting and then sell the product in that situation. But do we promote enough through the advertising? So that could be associated with process. So we need to have a clear identification and also specifically to understand what could be the possible problem. And then we focus on that study. So if we want to focus on interferon, we focus on interferon. And then if we have another research, think about the issue could be not just interferon, it could be within the firm, that could be a team issue, then that could be another research. So that would be something, that's why we mentioned about specific. Because specific, we need to have a right context. And we have a right context, we can know more depth, and then we'll be more able to look into the detail and tackle the problem instead of give us a very general problem and that, the answer could be everyone can predict. And that kind of research is difficult to beyond so what issue. So we also need to have a clear research objective. What is actually underlying the research question that we have to develop? So we need to have an objective. Under that objective, we also need to know what could be the questions. So sometimes, for example, back to the purchasing mobile app, the research objective is maybe understand consumer purchasing power in terms of focusing on purchasing digital products. And what could be underlying research could be how's the price matter, maybe, or what's the fundamental value for purchasing a product. And then it would be multiple study underneath. There could be, so many research questions. So some people want to look into psychology of consumer. So the research question may be more framed into the psychology perspective, maybe to do with product attractiveness, the product packaging, or a certain way of consumer behavior, how they trigger the purchasing interest. And that could be associated with sales promotion. So maybe not to do with the consumer behavior, that could be to do with sales promotion. It's about, does it make it visible for the consumer to know where to purchase? And does it work with some kind of a word of mouth, that people know whether it works or not, or some kind of a feedback, the reviews feedback, reviewer feedback, or target the right audience, etc. So that would be a research objective we developed, and then what could be the research under that context. Again, then what we're going to, the necessary information we required. So what kind of study we need to perform? What kind of theory we need to understand? Is that social with the data collection? What kind of data collection we require? The methodology, how we collect data, and what type of data, what kind of sample we need to do, and then what kind of analysis we need to perform in terms of, could be statistics, it could be kind of semantic analysis, it could be kind of a case study that we observe in the process, a lot of note taking, then we have multiple type of data for the triangulation, etc. So therefore, through the data collection and data analysis, under the good information and access the right type of knowledge, we'll be able to have a good judgment to know what could be important solution, and to help us know, does that solution answer the problem? Does a solution able to answer the problem and suggest us what actually we can do to solve the problem? So again, research process is problem solving. So it's to do with how can we have the right context? How can we have a proper investigation? How can we examine the information? How can we examine systematically, logically, and then have the right approach to analyze the situation? So simply, research process is systematic, is diligent, is critical, is objective, is logical. So the result can be concluded to help manager in their decision making, and so they can implement the right course of the action. So here I'm going to break down the overview of a research problem. So the research problem, first of all, as I mentioned about what's the context. So we need to identify the broad area of research. And then in that area, we decided what could be the topic we are interested, or what could be the topic currently the business required. For example, currently people talk about AI, and that could be under the research, maybe IT. They look into AI, into how can we incorporate AI into the IT. For the marketing, in a consumer behavior, how the AI help to analyze or understand the consumer behavior, or in the sales, how the AI implement in the business service and help to quickly have a response. The consumer can quickly get a response, or the customer can quickly get a response. So they have so many different kind of area, but what kind of topic we are selecting? And in that topic could be relate to our business, it could be relate to our interest. So we need to have an objective. So what could be our objective? Objective understand maybe behavior. Objective to understand could be decision making. Objective to do with sales promotion. Objective to do with maybe packaging, attractiveness, etc. And then what kind of approach we are going to decide, which means are we going to collect hundreds of data from individuals, so we will be able to analyze, because we maybe try to analyze as many as people as possible. So some people want to know consumer behavior. They probably have a segmentation in terms of, I want to know teenagers' consumer behavior because they get lots of money allowance from their parents. So they are the biggest purchasing power. So how do I collect the, teenagers or young generations, their data? So that could be not just collecting data from 20 people, it could be collecting data from hundreds or even thousands of people, so they can have a different approach. And sometimes some research, it could be to do with a business network, and business network could be multiple business intertwined. So in like a supply chain, it could have a upper level from the supplier to the distributor to the business customers, and a customer could be involved with a multiple supplier, and supply may be involved with multiple business customer. So that could be intertwined, and when come with the kind of data collection, instead could be thousands of data in terms of individual. People probably look into the company. So as long as company intertwined, the company are networked. And then people may collecting, say, there are 5 companies intertwined. They look into 5 companies. The data focus on the company level instead of individual level. So that means when we decide approach, it's associated with what kind of research we are doing. And then when we know what approach we are doing, we start to plan. How can we going to do? What is our timeline? Or who should we focus on? What kind of a sample we are going to collect? And how can we set about the criteria so we will be able to collect the right answer from the right people? Or collect answer, we don't know what's the right answer yet, but we collect the answer from the people so we will know what to do. Once we have enough information, right, which means the data, then we start to analyze, and there could be thousands of data. How can we analyze it? What kind of analysis we are performing? If you're able to collect a survey with thousands of questionnaire survey you collected, what kind of analysis from statistics should we perform? And how can we perform to make sure there's nothing jeopardize our outcome? Do we need to include all the data, or certain data need be excluded, be filtered? So all these data analysis we also understand. And if we are collecting, maybe interview, you say 50 people, and those text form of interview, how can we analyze the text form? And sometimes the company will give you some documents, and that could be another set of data as a kind of so-called objective data the company perform, or company information. That will be another set of data in terms of company product, the current product they are selling, and then show different type of product, etc. So how we analyze something, we have a visual support, something to do with a behavior. Some behavior could be using statistics, some behavior could be using a video, and how can we using the same rational approach to analyze data, so we will be able to present the findings. So this is a simple research process as for the business in the business role, or in terms of any research that we need to go through. This is a so-called process we are going. So in the business research, it's important that we make a decision. And we make a decision is we need to know, do we have multiple solutions to solve a problem? Or do we perform a right process, or so we can know the solution, the multiple solution are okay to adopt? Or from the process, we probably think about, okay, maybe there are multiple solutions, but what could be the most viable alternative for effective decision making? Sometimes the research findings say, yes, we just invest more money and then we can get an outcome. But if the company under the constraint of financial issues, they don't have plenty of money to do. So if that is a situation, under the financial constraint, the solution with the money may not be viable. There could be another alternative. There could be, to double check, can we have a new innovation to generate more money through the sales to create a financial benefit, and then we have a finance to do something else. So that could be a direct suggestion, or some kind of suggestion for indirect impact, but how can we solve the things indirectly, and how can we tackle the problem directly? So in the business research for decision making, we also have important to know what could be the knowledge we can gain from the research. So if you are as a manager, like a controller, or you are the brand manager, you are the product manager, you are the marketing, you are the IT audit, or you are a project manager, etc. How can we know we manage the process well, so we know we make a good decision? So this is something as a first part to understand what is research and what is a business research, and how can we use the research to associate with a manager. The next one we were going to talk about is about information and knowledge. They are the key in research. So how can we do it? And what kind of information or knowledge should we do it? Okay, so this is for our first part